All right, awesome.
account, you know?
Cool. All right, man. Well, listen, I guess Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's New Year's Eve tomorrow. So crazy how quick a year goes, right?
Wow, man.
Busy interim week for the holidays too.
Yeah,
I know about you, but I've had a lot cooking here in this 7 day difference between Christmas and New Year's Day. So it's been great.
right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I felt like even up until Friday of last week, just busy with things. I mean, a lot of our clients and a lot of our agents just have a lot of things going on, right? And you're right, with
hmm
this kind of bookend week, schedule's busy. Things are happening, right?
hmm
Yeah. So I'm
But yeah,
really,
it's been great,
man,
and
I
a
tell
lot
you,
to be
good.
today, a lot to be happy. I think it's we're always kind of reflecting this time of year, whether it's on changes in the family, the birth of my son's been really great, and
Right.
obviously just kind of thinking back on some of the work things and the challenges we had this year, having to dance with this new market, but also having to think about, man, 50 years in the kitty here, 50 years in the bucket,
Yeah.
and $50 million donated to
Yeah.
charity.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of everything being able to accomplish, in 2022 and previous years. And I'm really looking forward to this coming year and all the things we're going to be able to get back to our clients. So it's going to be a great year. Clients
Yeah.
and agents are going to have a great 2023 here with Windermere.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And thank you. What a great, it's wild to think, privately owned company, 50 years. We've what did we hear in September? Somewhere around 7,000 agents, something like that
Mm-hmm.
in 11 states. And I guess now 12 with Arizona coming back online, which is exciting.
Yep. Super
Especially
exciting.
for a lot of our Colorado clientele who have such second homes down there, but also that $50 million that we crossed, with the foundation. I mean, on the clearly our agents and our clients and ownership groups, and all the things that we did. So, like you, I'm really proud of that. I don't know a lot of companies can say that, so it's pretty proud.
Yeah, it's been great, and this came up in a conversation I was having yesterday. It's 50 million donated work wide, but it's
Mhm.
important to know that all the dollars that we raise here in Colorado stay local, right?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
really go to reward the food bank right here in downtown Denver,
Mhm.
so they can kind of continue to do their best. I know it's a struggle for everyone, and they need all the help they can get, but do their best to feed the less fortunate here in the city.
Mhm.
Just making sure we're giving back to our folks here right in town. So
Right.
'cause I couldn't be happier, man. It's been a great year. I know there's been a lot of struggles out there. There's people who have had to postpone their purchasing dreams because of the rate hike. There's
Right.
sellers who have had to maybe realign their goals for themselves based upon the higher amount of competition out there. But hey, markets change and markets shift, and we do our best to advise those clients and dance this new market as we come along. And I think we'll continue to do that in 2023. And things are moving in the right direction for everybody.
Mhm.
But man, I'm really happy with the way 2022 ended for our team, for our company wide, and obviously big personally for me. Like I said, my son was born, so it's been a
Right.
really fun first Christmas for us here in the Wolf household. So yeah.
Yeah, and you've had him in the office, and we've had him at a couple of events, and you went on a plane ride with him recently. So
Two plane rides and a boat ride. We were in Florida. The
yeah,
kid's an animal. He's doing
yeah, kid's
great.
an
So
animal.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the shifting market, and I have always felt that we sell the market, we don't set the market. And I think sometimes our clients feel like we set the market, right? And at least in the Denver metro, and I would include Colorado Springs in this, is that there's X amount of transactions every month. It's somewhere around 5,500, maybe 6,000 on the high side, no
hmm
matter what's going on in the economy, right? It just depends. Are we on the listing side or are we on the buy side, and where are our clients? And with that, we found in 22, we had to have some really hard conversations. There were some clients that it just didn't make sense maybe to sell their house right now. There are some,
hmm
even from a buy side, that it just didn't make sense right now. But I do think that having that guidance and being that good steward of them, it will definitely pay dividends, but it will also tee them up long term to be in a position of strength. Would you agree?
100%, and I really want to, kind of going on the flip side. I know you and I or anyone on our team is going to know that we say this all the time is, there's two sides to every transaction, right? So there's also
Right.
the buyer to think about, and I really want to applaud our industry partners, be it at, Celebrity Home Mortgage or over at, any of the folks we work with throughout the year here, for coming with really creative ways and creative solutions to our buyers' problems, right? So if there was a house they really fell in love, and maybe with more the high rising mortgage rates made it difficult for them to qualify, we were able to kind of work with the other side and collaborate with, our lender partners and our partners on the other side of the transaction, and maybe find a creative way to, I know 2-1 buy downs are a thing to talk to your lenders about. Not your realtor necessarily, talk to your experts on it. But man, be able to get people into homes, get buyers into homes they could have otherwise been a stopping point for. And then now they have a long-term plan where, maybe they can refi out in the next 6 to 18 months, and they're in great shape, and they got a home that would have otherwise maybe been out of reach, either because of the mortgage rates or because of the higher level of competition we were seeing a couple of years ago, right? So, man, if you can thread that needle as a buyer right now, I think it's actually a good thing.
Right.
As hard as it is to face this music, right? There's ways to make it work for you, and I really want to appreciate our lender partners out there, again, kind of all over the place, that really partnered up with us and made it work. So yeah,
Right.
Spire Financial, Celebrity Home Mortgage, all you guys, thank you so much. You guys did great. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I think too, there's a really popular saying, and we date the rate, but we marry the house. You know,
Mhm.
and that's really, really true. When you think about it, I know over the years I've done many, many, many refinances for a lot of reasons, right? But at the same time, with people, a lot of our clients are in that place where they're either having a growing family or they're having a shrinking of a family, right? Depending upon where they are on the spectrum, and as long as we're there to help them and guide them, I think good data makes a big difference, and having really good industry partners, which you just alluded to. So, um, one of the things that is interesting, Andrew, is that some of the various, I don't want to say media necessarily, but some of the things that get shared or get distributed, whether it's from news sources, whether it's from people in our industry, whether it's from our clients, whatever, is it seems like there is some little bit of misinformation out there that's been floated, just generally speaking. And I know that we battle that a little bit with our own agents of trying to help them understand and guide them through what's really happening out there. You've had some really good points in some of your masterminds this year about that, about, there's two sides to every transaction. People need a place to live, right?
Mhm.
Things like that. So what are your thoughts as we move forward into 23 on some of that data and information?
Yeah, guys, and again, it's my advice is always to, if I'm speaking to the professionals that might be watching this, take a breath, be a professional, be the
Right.
professional in the room,
Right.
right? So if you don't know something to be true,
Mhm.
don't click share, and
Mhm.
don't let it fall out of your mouth, right?
Right.
It's perfectly reasonable to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm not sure. Let me go ahead and reflect on that with either some of my teammates, some of my leadership, some of my industry partners on the lending side or the title side. Let me get back to you tomorrow, right? Give yourself a little bit of time, and they will appreciate you coming to them with accurate information versus just kind of saying whatever you heard or read on Facebook or what otherwise, right? So just take a breath,
Mhm.
use your resources, and then give them the most accurate information you can come up with. Whether it may not be what they want to hear, right? But it'll be true, and it won't be out of a state of panic, right? So I think it's really easy to, especially, man, it was tough in, like October-ish when rates were jumping up towards 7 points. And it was a tough time to be trying to buy and sell real estate, from a professional perspective and from our client's perspective, right?
Mhm.
And so I think it's important to say, yes, we're in a challenging situation. Let's see if there's some solutions out there, right? And to your point earlier, some people there wasn't, man. If you bought your house between January and March of 2022, there probably wasn't a good solution for you at that time, right? You probably had to sit on it. You probably had to rent it out, or you had to accept that, hey, maybe this isn't going to capture the same amount of equity that I wanted it to capture. It's
Right.
okay.
Right.
But, if you were on the buy side, maybe you said like, hey, this house that I wanted to purchase that was at X value, the current rates, maybe I can only afford a house that's at Y value. Is that still a good decision? Or is there a solution in there for me to bridge that gap? Be it, a concession on the seller side, a 2-1 buy down, something to that effect, right? So I think that before we kind of jump into and add fuel to the fire, just take a breath, use your resources, and deliver accurate information instead of just kind of what the masses are necessarily saying.
Right.
If I'm talking to my clients, I'm going to say, hey, come with your questions. I may not answer immediately. I will do my best to if I have the information. What I can promise, I will give you accurate information and my best honest advice within a couple of days at the most, right? Usually a couple hours, but give me a day, that way it gives me time to, contact some of my teammates, do some research on my end. If it's necessary, reach out to some industry partners and say like, hey, what are you guys seeing at Tidal? What are you guys seeing at Lending? And then we can collaborate. And it's a really team effort, guys. If your agent isn't putting together a team-based effort for your real estate transaction, I think you need to have a conversation with that person about reassessing their strategy. Because it takes a village, man. Every transaction has a buyer, a seller, typically a buyer's agent and a listing agent,
Right.
typically a title rep, typically a lender. Then you introduce inspectors and appraisers and HOA managers and all these
Right.
people who are involved in this thing, right? And it's all to deliver an equitable and ethical transaction to both parties. So we got to put together a team effort, and I think it's our responsibility as industry leaders to make sure we're educating our realtors on that, and that we're doing what we say we're going to do, right? So put forth the team effort, guys. That's how we deliver the best experience to our clients.
Right. That's a really good point, because we had a lot of scenarios this year that just some transactions just didn't go as smoothly as I think anybody would have liked them to go for one reason or another. And you make a really good point. Is I think the last stat I saw was somewhere around 12 families are affected by every real estate transaction. And you rattled off a number of them just a few minutes ago. So you're right. It does take a village, and we need to work together for that good common goal. There's not a winner or a loser, right? The other piece I think too, Andrew, which is interesting, is that, and I'm really proud of our team this year, is we've really helped each other out. We, as some people may or may not know, we have a number of agents that are licensed in multiple states. We have a number of agents that have families in multiple states. We have agents like yourself. You had a baby this year. You and Helen had a baby. So those are things that this team really rallied around each other. And whether it was showings, whether it was closings, whether it was listing appointments. And to me, that just showed that really true value, that when our clients, buyer or seller, engages with one of our people, they're really getting a big team, right? They're not just getting one single agent. And I think it's important. A lot of times in our industry, we tend to work in silos, and we tend to work about, look at me, look at me, look at me, versus, hey, this is my team. This is who makes me look good, right? Like, for example, Jerry,
100%.
our office, our transaction coordinator, office manager, she runs that office and helps us with our programs and our marketing. It has just really been integral to us, not only this year, but in years past. And she is an integral member of this team.
100%. She is the glue that holds a lot of this thing together. 100%. And she does so many amazing things that frees up a lot of time for you and I to focus on the agents and focus on developing their skill sets, right? So I couldn't thank her enough. And I think that, we did such an amazing job of making sure our team was active and collaborating throughout this entire process. And that's been something that's been happening for the last several years. And I really want to say thank you to the home office back in Seattle, right? So coming out of COVID, it was, we really, I know you and I are similar in the sense we really thrive on a team dynamic and a healthy amount of participation with our cohort, be it in Colorado on our team or in the other 11 states we work in. And having to have canceled some of our big events like homecoming and some of our more collaborative manager and agent training events that we've had the last couple of years coming out of the pandemic, man, they did it up great this year. I think that they made some amazing decisions by having those events be together, having our agents and our manager training events be at the same time. We had some amazing speakers. I think I just pulled up so much out of that professionally and personally. And it gave us a chance to unify with our growing team, our division here in the Mountain Division in Utah and Arizona and Nevada, joining in together. I was so happy, and I strongly recommend any Windermere agent across the network that happens to run across this video, please invest the time to go over to homecoming, wherever it may be next year. It is so great, man, guys. They do an amazing job back there. So I want to thank the leadership back there in Seattle for doing that. And please do it again. It was amazing. Guys. I loved it.
Well, and the other thing too, that, you and I walked away, we were in a number of, manager sessions. And one of the things we walked away with was a lot of, I don't want to say confusion, but I think I would say that we are ahead of the curve when it comes to the hybrid office, solution
Hmm.
with agents scattered around the metro area. And obviously we have one in Colorado Springs and one in Evergreen. And just with weather and engagement, I think we've done a really good job of keeping that hybrid model in place from the beginning of the pandemic through the pandemic and now post-pandemic. And for those that want to engage in person, we have that ability, right? For those that would rather do things like we're doing today, we're still collaborating on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, but we're doing it in a way that's convenient for people, for he or she to thrive. I've been really proud of that. I'm really proud of that engagement. And I think our engagement, actually, agent engagement's gone up because of that.
Hmm. I couldn't agree more, and I think that some of the things that are leading to that increased engagement, especially as we bring some more new agents on, is let's talk about some things we're excited about in 23. Let's talk
Right.
about Windermere Ready and Windermere Offers, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's two just incredibly powerful tools for our clients are getting added into the Windermere repertoire here. So please, reach out. I don't want to speak out of turn here, and it's a very dynamic situation as far as which of those particular tools can apply to individual clients. But agents, please reach out. I would love to have a conversation. Just talk about some of the things we offer here. But man, Windermere Offers, Windermere Ready. For any agents in our team, I know everyone's really excited for it. Everyone took time the week after Christmas or week before Christmas to show up to training. That's how awesome this program is, guys. So I'm really looking forward to that 23. How do you feel like that's an impact, or is there anything else you're really excited for in 23 with the Windermere team, either here in Denver or network wide?
Yeah, I think the more we're getting more and more tools, right? And I think part of that culture is, we're about our people first, our tools and tech, and then clearly our community, right? Things tied to our foundation. Our tools and tech seem to be getting better and better and better. We're that group, the IT department in Seattle, is just sharpening the saw and testing new products and testing new services for us. For example, our app, right? Then we have our hub, which is internal. Then we have things like the Windermere Ready and Windermere Offers. We're going to give people a lot of tools moving forward, whether a buyer or seller, they can choose. They can go left, right, or center, right? We're there. We can help them with whatever direction that they want to go. The other thing that I'm really excited about is I think that as we're growing as a company, we're now growing with our Southwest region. And I'm excited to see how we can learn from them, from their growth in places like Utah, Nevada, Arizona, clearly Colorado, where we are. But I think that they're going to learn a lot from us. Right. So I'm sensing that from some of the calls that we've been pulled into, that they're learning some things from us. And I think we've identified, for lack of a better term, that perfect maybe agent for us moving forward. We don't take everybody. I think that we are exclusive. I think that Windermere's been exclusive for 50 years. I think you and I have really fine-tuned that of things that we're looking for people who are driven, right? People who are looking 3 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out, and looking for something bigger, right? And that, to me, that's exciting. And I think our agents are also in that same place of looking bigger than just a transaction in front of them today.
Yeah, I think you have to be if you're going to be a thriving member of the Windermere team, right? So there's plenty of people who make a great living selling real estate, and that's their end. Of course, we do as well, right? But being able to commit to long-term goal setting and being able to commit to having a vision to see, hey, do I want to be a team lead someday? Do I want to be a franchise owner someday? Do I want to explore maybe the part of some official Windermere training? So there are those opportunities out there as well, guys. So there's all sorts of things you can do that can put your unique skill sets and unique passions to work for you. That's going to put some money in your pocket, but also deliver a better experience and making sure that you're adding to the real estate community as a whole. That's a big thing I'm really passionate about, is the more good realtors that we have working out in the world, hopefully the bulk of them with Windermere, but the more there's good people doing good things for the industry out there in the world, the better we all are. So I think it's really important to invest back into the real estate community as a whole and make sure that's growing and developing and delivering a great experience to our clients out there, because that's just better for everybody. 100%.
Yeah. And I think, the one thing that I think is going to become very real for us is this Department of Justice, suit that's out there in the Midwest that seems to be getting some legs. And I think that those are the more value we add to every transaction, and the more that we do the right thing, I think is gonna be huge. And I think from things that I see and a couple of the committees that I sit on, there's still a lot of things that happen out there that just go, what? And
Yeah,
and
and
better we do that, the better positioned we're going to be to serve the public. And I think that's going to resonate in 23.
100%, and I really, I mean, it's, I don't sit on that committee, and I don't know any of the specifics of any of the people that are involved in the DOJ lawsuit. I got to imagine that none of this started from someone that was like wanting to put one over on the public.
Right.
What I do think probably happens sometimes in these things that unfortunately arise is people get maybe a little careless, and they don't think about, hey, is what I'm doing right now in the best interest of my client, right? So
Right.
we're not always sellers agents, we're not always buyers agents. Sometimes there's different agency agreements out there. But man, if you just make every decision with the thought of, hey, is this in the best interest of the person I'm working for, be it a buyer or a seller,
Right.
you're really gonna find yourself on your feet most of the time. Like it's
Totally agree.
so just like a lot of that stuff, guys, and obviously our industry is going to change, and it should. Every industry should adjust to a new time and a new way of doing business as we grow and develop here. It's a much more online based business. The information is much more public now, guys. There's not like a secret book of listings anymore. You can look on the internet and see what's out there. So it's about delivering a high level of service and a high level of care to our clients, and just every decision has to be made from the perspective, in my opinion, of, hey, does this decision positively impact my client and put their best interest first?
Right.
If your answer is yes to that, you're probably doing the right thing.
Right.
Hashtag not legal advice, but so
No,
outside
you're
of
right.
that, you're
You're
probably
exactly right. And that's what a lot of these things come down to, especially with interpretation. And we've dealt with that, with contracts, and for our agents that'll watch this, we have a new contracts coming in 23. Lots of changes here in a couple of weeks, and from what I've seen from the red lines, I think they're good changes. But a lot of it is a little bit of carelessness sometimes, and also there's an interpretation. So you've got a listing agent's interpretation, then a buyer's agent's interpretation, right? Then you've got a seller and a buyer. Well, that's 4 different interpretations sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to understand what was the intent. What was whether it was handled correctly or not? What was really the intent, right? Because that drives what happens versus if the intent was unpure, right? And we can identify that, that's when you start to have contractual changes. That's when you start to have industry changes and things as well. But at the same time, I do agree with you. We need to continue to evolve. We need to continue to get better and sharpen our own saws, right? And I think we learned that when we did a couple of the management courses in Seattle of just ways to think different, right? In a way that's, again, who are we working for, right? Right? What's our employment agreement? It's our client, right?
Yeah, and speaking of sharpening your saw, guys, and this is probably drifting a little back into our 2022 reflections here, but it's a good plan for 2023. If there's no secret that there was a few less transactions a month this year, so largely agents had a little more time on their hands.
Right.
I really hope that a lot of you guys out there use that time to develop a skill set, take some extra CE courses, reach out to your partners and grow your knowledge base. And to Michael's point, basically every year there's at least a handful of contract changes, and it's very, very important, guys. We're not lawyers, but we should know that contract very, very well. A couple things that are really great here, Windermere agents, we got you covered. First quarter, I believe early March, we have a contracts class scheduled, so we're taking care of that for you guys.
Right.
Please make the time to come check it out. It's totally worth it. I know that having that knowledge, put my clients in an advantageous position at least a few times this year because I could speak to it,
Right.
And another thing I would say is any realtor out there that's a DMAR member, which is a great perk. I believe all across CAR, the CAR Legal Hotline, guys, is a great tool that I feel like not enough of our realtor partners leverage for themselves.
Yep.
They're not going to give you legal advice, but if you call and you have a question about the contract or a question about a certain situation, they will do their level best to give you information, right? So they're not going to give you legal advice. They're not your lawyer in that sense,
Right,
but
right.
they are in the sense that part of your realtor benefit is you can call this legal hotline, ask a couple questions, get some clarification, and then you can go back to your client and say, hey, here's what I think the situation is. So going back to what we were talking about earlier is don't speak out of turn, guys.
Right.
Say, hey, let me
Right.
talk to somebody. Call the Car Legal hotline. They are incredibly quick at calling back. I've never
Right.
had a next day call back. It's within like 20 minutes to an hour almost every time if you don't get a
Yeah.
straight pickup. So they're doing an amazing job over there. Use it. Then you can go back to your client and say, like, hey, again, not legal advice, hashtag not legal advice, but I talked to the Car Legal hotline. Here's the information that I have.
Right.
What decision would you like to make now?
Right.
My client, right? So
well, and
I think there's a lot of tools out there.
As our division director stated in a luncheon back in November, there's a lot of crafty people out there. Sometimes it's like, where did that come from? But it's good for us to be that level head and understand. Also, I think too, staying in our lanes, right? So we're not home inspectors, we're not water rights inspectors, we're not attorneys, as you just said, we're not lenders. Stay in our lane, leverage our industry partners, and that keeps everybody safe. So. Well, good. Yeah, I tell you, man, I think a theme for 23 is going to be flexibility. I think we're going to have to be incredibly flexible, and I think we're going to have to be, and also probably very nimble. So that's
exactly. It's going to take being nimble. It's going to take being dynamic, and that's transparently why, in my opinion, people should work with us, right? So if I wasn't in the industry, I would hire a realtor because I might, in my entire life, if I wasn't in the real estate industry, might buy 3 homes,
right,
4 max, obviously, if some of us have investment properties that are a little outside of that spectrum, but man, most of your realtors are doing between, 6 and 20 deals every year, right in that ballpark. If you're a newer agent, that's around that 6 range, more experience crossing over into the higher level range. Right. So being able to understand that circumstances and every transaction is a little different, and being able to be dynamic with that is really the level of expertise we have to deliver, and why people should work with us, in my opinion. Right. In addition to obviously being if you work with a realtor, they owe you a much higher level of responsibility and fiduciary responsibility based upon our code of ethics than otherwise. Right. So I think there's a lot of good reasons, but the number one to me is being able to understand how every situation is a little different, and be dynamic and be the expert, even as that transaction is moving around on you.
Right. Well, I'm excited. So we're going to, our goal, you and I, we've made a goal. We're going to try to do these at least a weekly. Is our goal. And we're going to call them First Fridays, or Fun Fact Fridays, I think is what we're calling them. And these will go out on a Friday or Saturday or something, and is the plan. But we'd like to, if you have topics that you'd like Andrew and I to address, definitely just ping one or both of us. We'll do some homework and research, but we'll probably just have a weekly topic of something, probably something that's facing us that week, right? Will probably be our topic.
100%. I'm excited. I'm just excited to kind of reach back out and talk to agents and to.
Oh, I think we may have lost. Andrew, unfortunately. Well, anyway, we'll go ahead. I can wrap this one up, and
focused.
Maybe
laser down on us given topic, and we'll kind of go from there.
There you are. You broke up a little bit,
Michael. I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, the internet seems to be a little unstable. So, all right. Well, cool. Well, awesome. Have a great new year. Right. Awesome. Yes.